Hi guys, as I suspect that you are aware, it's Al, Spiritual Atheist, back once again. I am this video is going to be totally a response to Acyberguy's video to me, and his video will be linked in the description box after I upload this. And I encourage you not just to see how things are responding and so forth, but he's an interesting experience in his own right. And if you haven't, met him, so to speak, YouTubed him, I encourage you to do so. Agreement with him, of course, is not necessary. So Guy, I got to tell you, John 3:16 to most atheists is a cliche. We are hit with it so often, and usually with great expectations. It's sort of, presented with a doe-eyed look, of this great treasure. Let's examine this thing a little bit. It'll probably help define a bit more where both are. So God so loved the world. This is his favorite world. Gave his only begotten son. There's only one. So we don't have Jesus popping up throughout the universe and other planets. Only one. That's how much we're loved. And I'm going to say I agree, because of all the planets in this solar system alone, this is my favorite one. And I really love it. I think, since I'm totally dependent on it for life, I probably am even more fond of it than the deity. Of course, the deity has to have a favorite star, and once again, believe it or not, we share that this star, out of the 250 billion that exists in the Milky Way galaxy, but this is his favorite. Mine too. We agree there, boy. We are close, man. Now, there are as many galaxies, we are told, as there are stars in this one. That is around 250 billion known galaxies. Or estimated, I don't know. But of all those, guess which one's God's favorite? And mine. Yep, the Milky Way is, that's the best galaxy. I think we have to distrust God a little bit when we look at Andromeda and realize that we are closing in each other at about 1,000,000 miles an hour. And it's probably not going to be very good for God's favorite planet when when the two galaxies crash. But, there's a divine plan, I'm sure. So he sent his only begotten son, that I'm going by memory here again, but we shall not perish but have life everlasting, or something like that. Now, this is where we get into the thing that I objected to even as a child, the idea that I'm going to accept the blood sacrifice is offensive to me. Nobody has to die for my well-being. I have no wish for it. It is not my desire. If I were at the crucifixion, I would have done what I could to stop it. Other than that, it means nothing. The idea that somehow it was actually such a wonderful gesture that he was willing to experience death for us flies in the face of common sense, because he invented death in the first place. Death is not necessary. You can just take the people you have and keep on with it. Death obeys a higher law, if you want, but it's a law without deity. There is a law of impermanence, but you have the deity creating that law. It doesn't have to be. So to sacrifice one's son and then, and then forgive everybody else for something they didn't do to begin with, and it's just, the whole thing gets really, really icky. And I I'm just not there, man. Now also there's a problem we had in communication, and I just want to clear this up as well. When I was quoting the Bible verse, "Be still and know I'm God," I didn't think that it meant that if you just stopped the silly chitter chatter and gossiped, that somehow something magical would occur and you would know the existence of God. I mean, I think that's a promise, and I think it's a very deep one, that to know, that is the only promise, to know. Know doesn't require faith. There's no faith required for me to acknowledge the existence of this monitor in front of me. I know it's there. And to know the existence of God to the same level requires no faith whatsoever. This is a tremendous gift. It's the direct insight into the very nature of being. It's being advertised here and offered. And I think it beats your peace that surpasses all understanding and everything else all to shame. Really. And I'm talking here about real be silent. The thoughts, the words, the never-ending verbal chatter that goes on inside your brain. Just let it all go. Don't see the thoughts as subject matter, but rather as event. So that's happening. And it is the nature of perception that you're not what you perceive. So if you perceive your thought process, that means you can, as you perceive it, you're freeing yourself from it, and it will slow down, become transparent, and still. The same thing is true of the emotional turmoil, that as we perceive it as an event, as energy, rather than as something we're caught up in, things begin to fall into space, and they're not as thick and heavy, they're lighter. And in fact, it appears almost as though we're moving back into a nonverbal world. Now, the nonverbal reality is not alien to us. We lived in it for the first year of our life. And if we have cats or dogs, we can see how complex thought patterns can be without the necessity of verbal translations, without the necessity of verbal thought. It's not. And I tend to agree with Jung that the nonverbal thought continued. It started our life and it continues throughout our life. And the verbal thought becomes a blanket, if you want, that we lay over it. And it also, has its purpose. There's no two ways about that it's a defining characteristic of human beings, that we can speak and communicate to each other. It makes us who we are. Very, very useful. But at the same time, it's a two-edged sword. It can trap us into thinking that the words themselves are good enough. And we do this especially when we run up against a true spiritual teaching, because it will challenge us and will right away reinterpret the teaching in such a way that we're okay. That my favorite planet is God's favorite planet too. And it's, I don't hate gays, God hates gays. It's that sort of thing. It is defining, and it in Buddhism, it's actually called hunting the guru, because the Tibetan Buddhists personify their deity, if you want. It's not really a deity, but the manifestation of what they're about in the form of a guy, and some are frauds and some aren't. Perhaps, I don't know. But there's a stage in the spiritual development of the individual called hunting the guru, where you're trying to find this treasure, like a treasured deer, if you want, and kill it, and then take it home, and it's yours to adorn yourself with. And the problem with hunting the guru or killing the guru is that once you've done it, it's dead. The living quality is gone. And this is true of truth. The minute you know truth, it's gone. You need that living quality. If you're going to work with what is true, you're not going to ever be able to perceive it. You understand? Because it's as much a state of being as it is a state of knowing. And in fact, the state of knowing and perceiving is dependent totally on the state of being. And it's at this point, the mind is a mirror. It only reflects itself. Only being true perceives true. And it's not even perceiving. It's just that it's realizing, if you want. That's the problem with language, but it's realizing. It's not perceiving or knowing or anything like that. It's a realization of something very similar maybe to sex, to a good orgasm. Certainly not describable, and this one couldn't ever be any better. That sort of thing is what we're talking about here. The be still and know I am God. That is, I think, one of the most important things in your literature. And I'm going to stop here. There's so much more I want to talk about, Guy, but this is 12 minutes in, and I don't want these to go on and on forever, just out of courtesy to our viewers. I know you wouldn't mind, and neither would I, but we got other people here with us, and I guess pay them some mind as well. So I'm going to take it off here. Hey, be kind to yourselves. Remember that in the search for truth, the eye cannot see itself. Some things are just too close, and you overlook them. Be kind to yourselves, guys. Like really. And Guy, thanks a lot for playing with me. I can't tell you how much that personally means.